Today's going to be a little different, folks. It's been on my mind. It's been on my, really been working on my mind. I had a bout with pneumonia and it slowed me down, but it made me think, which was good. It also made me realize that for each of us, we have to have a personal balance. We have to be able to understand and listen to our heart, our lungs, and our brain, to make sure we're on top of our game, so that when we talk with clients, we're able to provide them with a exemplar service. Randy teaches us a lot about how to do, about what to do. One of the things that as we mature, as we think about it, we think about, how am I personally? I was talking with a couple of young folks recently, and they were saying, how do I balance work and life? I said, well, it's a three-legged stool, because you've got your work life, you got your family life, and you got your personal life, and you really need to figure out what you need in each one of those. Chiropractor I used to go to talked about mind, body, and spirit. You had to have a balance there. When you're eating, you have to balance your nutrition. You have to have all major groups. You got to have fluid, you got to have fuel, and you got to have energy food. So, and Lord knows, when I was in college a long, long time ago, I hate to say it was 50 years ago, but it was. I used to drink 60 cups of coffee a day, which is a heck of a lot of coffee. Went to a doctor one time and he said, how much do you drink? And he was talking about fluids. And I said, well, I get about 2 gallons of fluids a day. He goes, really? How much of it's water? I said, well, coffee is about 98% water. He says, you're drinking 2 gallons of coffee a day? And I said, yeah, pretty much. When you figure 60 cups times 8-ounce cups or 10-ounce cups, because I usually get a big mug. And he said, you can't keep doing that. And I said, I'm doing great right now, man. I'm doing super. I was doing 20-hour days. I was drinking 60 cups of coffee a day. And I unfortunately was drinking a lot of, eating a lot of what I consider now junk food. But it was, it was giving me energy. And I was living off adrenaline, caffeine, and sugar, which is not a good way to go at it. And so, think about it. And the hardest people we are. I've got a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I use it daily, but I've never talked with you guys about it. But the hardest people we have, to be honest with, is ourselves. Had a psych professor who used to say, denial is the name of the river. And I'm going, what? And he was just trying to be cute and trying to put something that anchored in our brain. And it was, and I always think about that. When I think of denial, I always think of, I think of him. He was a grand guy. And but he was trying to make the point that we frequently are not honest with ourselves about how we are physically, emotionally, or spiritually, because there is that balance. We have to have that thing that we have our faith in, that thing that we have our heart in. That's important. For me, I try to balance my wife, my grandchildren, and my children, which is, family, with work, with selling trust and servicing clients, but also with the marketing and the initial contact. So, follow up and follow through are important. Whether you're playing golf, whether you're shooting targets with a rifle or a pistol, or whether you're doing archery, follow through is as critical as aiming. We have to be able to figure out what we want to shoot at, get the appropriate ammunition or tool, and follow up and follow through. If you're hunting, and I'm sorry, I'll use some analogies that some people may look at me and go, what? But when I was 10, I was working retail. We had a family hardware store, and we had a gun section. And I remember a guy came in and he wanted to buy an M1 carbine. And I said, what are you gonna do with that? And he said, I'm gonna hunt squirrels. And I said, you're gonna have nothing to eat. He said, well, I hunt rabbit. I said, you still ain't gonna have nothing to eat. If you hit them with that round, you're gonna blow it away. And you're just gonna be killing something and not doing anything productive. So you want to make sure your tool is correct for what you're doing, for how you're hunting, for who you're hunting. Randy talks about our avatar. Randy talks about our target. He talks about those people who you want to focus on. Are they 55 and older? Are they 30? Are they 30 to 50? Are they only the rich seniors who can provide you with a lot of assets to reposition or to back end sale or do a funding sale, whatever you want to call it? And I sometimes call it, position. I use the phrase positioning your assets productively for you so that you have more money at the end of your retirement than as opposed to having more retirement at the end of your money, which is a fear that a lot of them have. They are scared to death of running out of money. That's the reason you see so many seniors being greeters at Walmart, and a lot of them now are being stalkers and stuff like that. So, there is that concern that they have. So they're trying to keep their life in balance, the income, the outgo, and their emotional satisfaction. So, we need to focus on that. And I sound like I'm preaching, but maybe I am. So, we've got tools that we have to use. And once we figure out what our stride is, what our target is, and how fast we run, because I thought about stride, and I thought about the vision that came into my brain was a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old who's learning how to walk. It's still a little shaky in how they walk, but I was at the park, and you see this kid running like crazy, trying to keep up with mommy and daddy, and they're aware that he's back there, but they're after him. He's kicking it hard, and it's sort of interesting. We think about our stride. I know my stride. My stride is not what Randy's is. I don't know how that man does it. He goes so hard, so much, and when I try to keep up with him, I wear out. So I have to change my stride to fit what I can do. Years ago, I had a health crisis. So like Randy, I had a major health crisis, and what it resulted in was the fact that I can do pretty much anything I used to do. I just can't do it the same way or as fast as I used to do it. So I've had to learn to adapt what I do, how I do it, and sometimes when I do it, because I'm a whole lot better early in the morning than I am late in the afternoon. In order to be successful, or to be able to charge my battery, to have that intrinsic value, the self-satisfaction, as well as the extrinsic value, commission sales, so that there's a balance between the intrinsic and the extrinsic. The equation is balanced, and I do well. So, one of the things, and I may digress periodically in this, but one of the things I want to do is, some of you are new, some of you are not new. But I like to go back into the software and just go through it step by step to make sure that I'm sure I understand what I think I understand. You know, I know what I think I know, or I don't know what I didn't know until I don't know it. You know, whatever. So I need to open the chat box, and if you have questions, please, you know, send me a chat. If I don't catch it, Lisa will remind me. And if it's really important, no, well, every question is important. I never say anybody has a non-important question, because it's something they don't understand, or they wouldn't ask a question about it. So, you know, I want to know what your thoughts are, what your concerns are. And sometimes I spend a lot of time during the day working with folks, answering questions, which is okay, because part of my personality is a problem solver, which is why, you know, estate planning fits so well with me, because I get to meet people, I get to talk with people, and I do like to talk. But also they share with me. They share with me what their concerns are, and I'm able to say, okay, let's look at the options that we have. And I usually try to present them with a couple of options. One of the important things is, when we're talking with folks, we don't need to, there's two types of questions. There are open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. If we ask a closed-ended question, it's usually a yes or a no, or a nod, or a shrug, or something like that, and they don't share. If we ask an open-ended question, it still may be a yes or a no, but you can easily follow it up with a help me understand. Help me understand what you want to have happen. And Randy uses this, right? He says, what is the true meaning of your money? If I had a magic wand and could give you whatever you wanted, what would it be? That's a different way of saying, help me understand. Columbo. I don't know if any of you remember the old Columbo series, but he used to always walk around with that cigar and a trench coat and say, help me understand. He knew what the answer was. He knew what it was. But what he wanted to do was open it up for the people to think, and the people to move toward solving their own question, solving their own problem with what they had to do. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to try to share the screen. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Hey, yeah. Now this is my estate setup, and I don't know if it's exactly what y'all have, but I know it's not, because of where I'm at with the company and in the company. I look at the people that I've signed up under me. I look up people who have got their license to sell the software to me, and I really want to work with them as a group and on an individual basis to problem solve, because some of us have the same questions, or some of us have, oh, I ran across that and this is what I did. And we can all learn from people that are doing the same thing or similar things. But this is your software. And the great thing about it is, you know, you can go in there and you can do the free trial. You can either do it in a, you know, you can do a 5-day trial, a 10-day trial, and all you have to do is that lower right-hand side, you click on vanity setups, and it brings you into this page, which says, yeah, I can send a client a free trial. They can look at it, or they can work on it themselves. And I've worked on doing that with some folks. I've had a couple of folks that I said, okay, I'm gonna send you a free trial, but I want to get together with you before it runs out. And so we can go through it. Well, they either have a reason that they need to reschedule and they push it out, or they forget to get into it. So they really don't do the free trial. So you can reissue a free trial to folks. And Randy talks about, give them a 10-day trial or a 2-week trial. Sometimes, and I've got one couple that I'm talking with, and he is an engineer and she is sort of an accounting kind of person. They both like to do the research. They both like to do it. They are doers. So I sent them a 30-day trial and I said, let's get back in about 3 weeks and talk about this and see where you're at. Because actually, and the fact is that they were saying, well, we've got an appointment scheduled with an attorney to do a will first part of August. And I said, okay, that's fine. Talk to them, see what they're going to charge you, see what they're going to be able to do, and compare it to what we can offer with a trust document, because we can offer you all of the same things, probably at a lesser price and at no change fee. You'll get the change fee. You'll be able to change it 24/7 for your life for that one price. And I know what the answer is going to be. They're going to come back, and unless the attorney is hurting and wanting to give them a discount, it's going to be a price tag that's almost twice, if not twice, what the $19.95 is for the trust. So, you give them the opportunity to do it. You don't push too hard. You make them available, because some people just really do like to make their own decisions. They don't like to be sold anything. They want to sell themselves. So, in the homepage, I'll go back there. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner, it says click here for more vanity links and more free trials. It's also got the component there where you can plug it into your website. It's got and I zipped out of that, but here it's got the text that you can put in, as well as the hyperlinks. Now, everybody knows, you copy a hyperlink and you make sure you copy the whole link if you send it to them in an email. But you also have the capacity to add bullets or buttons into your software, into your website. So you can do, register for a free trial, and it'll click and it'll register, and it'll go to your name, start your, it's got these things. So these are resources and tools that we have to market to people, depending upon what process you use for contacting folks. And then you've got your sales. If you're doing a client sale, you can, you click on the client sale, I'm thinking boats, and I feel like I'm saying sail, like a wind capturing device, as opposed to a cell. Anyway, working with your clients, you fill out their names and addresses, and you send this to them. Now, the other thing is you can, and then they fill out the information and click it. If you don't do it this way with the computer, then there's another form, and I'll go over that too, that you use to, when you're in a face-to-face with them, then you have them sign it and you put down the amount. So I'll show you that form. And a lot of you know these things, but do we know them, but do we use them? And that's the important part. So, we do this sell. We offer the free trials, and you can go here under sales and offer a free trial. You fill out the same information, and then it will ask you for the length of the trial. So you can do, up to 30 days. So you can be a little more specific with it. It's just another opportunity to do that. So you can customize it to the wants and or needs of your client. If you view your customers, you can go in, and this is something that it has. You click on who you got. And it will show you first the trust that you've sold, and those are usually in chronological order from the oldest first on down. And you can look at the voided transactions that you have. So this is good for reporting and tracking yourself. But you can also go down here and you can look. I've used free trials. When you send out a free trial to somebody, they'll show up in this spot. Now that's under sales, and that's under your clients. That was under sales, and that was under view your clients. So, you can look at who did I send a free trial to? Is it about to run out? Did I follow up and follow through with those folks? So this is a good way for you to look at what you got, who you sent stuff to, and check with them. And there's a couple of these folks that, yes, I've talked to them. No, they don't want to do it right now. Yeah, I've got an appointment, and I'm sort of going through these. And this one, you can see where I sent this one to them once, and I actually sent it to them twice. This is a couple that I'm working with, and they didn't get a chance to look at it. They had family issues come up, and it ran out, so I extended it to them. This is a person who wanted to do stuff, but wanted to figure out a way to pay for it on a regular basis. I mean, on a monthly basis. And we didn't have the process at that point in time. So I need to get back with them and say, hey, I can now offer you a financing process so that you can do this now. I listened to you. I brought it up to company. Company said, yeah, that's a good idea. And we now have that financing opportunity for the state trust documents or for workshops through Coach Financing. And if you don't have that link, let us know, or Lisa can repost that link in the chat for people to look at and see. So that's a piece under your clients, and this is specifically to you, what you do. And of course, a lot of us have gone through the launch the client demo, which is basically what the client gets when they buy the software and they're wanting to do it. They're gonna get, when they log in with their username and password, it's going to bring up this image, and it's going to have the estate plan and all of the components there. It's going to have the ability for them to change their password, and it's going to give them access to the videos that where they might have questions. So, going through that review, and a lot of people don't realize that, hey, viewing, I can review my estate plan and figure out where I need to correct something, which is a fantastic option within the software, that they can review it and say, oh, hey, I've got a red flag. I need to address that. Or is that what I really want to do? And this is a major step for a lot of folks. I'm on back up. Okay, we'll go here. Doing a trust, doing a will is a major decision-making position. So yeah, we can move them through it, but I was made aware of, there are companies out there that don't take time to really answer the questions, explain the situation. They're just interested in collecting the money and closing a deal. Randy talks about the long-term relationship that we have with our clients, our prospects, our clients, and the fact that the trust document and process opens the door for the back end sale or the funding sale, or helping the parties to position their assets in such a way that they don't run out of money. Hopefully, if they've got the resources to do that. There are a lot of products out there that offer the opportunity for them to generate an income for themselves, put it in the trust so that it survives. If one of the spouses dies, it survives for the other spouse. And if there's still money left over, it's there for the beneficiaries, for their children and their grandchildren after they both pass away. And, it took me a little bit to talk with folks sometimes about death and dying, but I realized, this is something, and Randy has said it, we're willing to talk to them in a non-scary way. It's a fact. Ain't none of us gonna, we are all gonna leave this earth. None of us will live forever. Though I want to, I really want to pull a Moses. I really want to be 120. But that's just a joke that I had with one of my doctors, a long time ago. But it is something I try to take care of myself. I try to do things that keep me healthy. The worst thing I don't do is rest. I don't take care of my fatigue needs. I push too hard. Sometimes, if I push too hard, and as we mature, if we have suffered from, anything like the flu, pneumonia, if we've got a bad cold, we've got bad allergies, things like that. If we push too hard and we don't listen to our bodies, we'll get brain fatigue or brain fog. I think long COVID calls it brain fog. And we won't be on the top of our game. And when somebody asks us a question, we get caught flat-footed. If any of you ever played sports, and I was trying to think of a sport that you could play flat-footed, and there's not one. But I think of basketball. You're always sort of on your toes, moving left and right and dancing. I've talked about a martial arts, Aikido, and it is a non-offensive martial arts. You can't score points in it. So like Taekwondo and stuff like that, you can score points in a competition. You can't in Aikido, but it is a situation that is a whole lot like dancing. If you ever watch a video on Aikido, it's amazing. I was trying to think. Chuck Norris and a couple of other guys did Aikido, and you would see, they would be attacked by half a dozen guys, and bodies were flying all over the place. And Chuck Norris, for lack of a better phrase, would be in the middle of it, just standing there looking around for the next one. The thing is Aikido is a lot like dancing. You're blending with the energy of those around you, and it is a dance. You're helping to blend and redirect without doing harm. So, that's an interesting part of it. So that's the sales part all the way through the demo. Over in marketing, normal average recommended retail sales is $19.95 on the trust, but we do have the capacity to discount it. These are in $100 increments all the way down to the wholesale price. So if you run across somebody who just cannot, or you just don't want to charge them that, you can do that. Realize that, this does impact your commission that you would get. So you're diminishing by $100. So if you sell it down here, you're basically giving it to them for their time. And there'll be those people in life that you want to do that with. So that goes into these codes right here capital 1895 and all like that, go into the sales component when you're doing a client sale. Says if you have a promo code, put it there. So you can click it there, put the promo code, and it reduces that amount correspondingly to the code that you put in. So the promo codes are something we don't talk about a lot. We don't talk, some people are discounting, some people aren't. It is, you don't have to. It is worth the $19.95. It's a good price. It's a good deal. So back to marketing. Training manual, and I'm going through this step by step, folks. Some of you are going to get bored with it. Some of you are going to go, wow, I didn't know that was there, or I didn't think about it. One of the big resources that we have is the training manual that is in here. And it comes up in a PDF format. So if you're the kind of person who likes to have paper or gets fatigued reading a lot, but this is a resource that we have. And I've been in it because I was all the way down at the bottom there. I wasn't down at the bottom. I was down through. Somebody asked me a question about DeedWorks, and I was able to go into the training manual and look at it, and there he goes. See what it was. So, estate planning training manual, and I remember I've sent some of you this, but it talks about the introduction, steps to success, understanding estate planning, and it goes all the way down through, it teaches us about marketing, and the educational program. A lot of people don't think about reading this stuff, but the educational program strategy, planning for life after 60, is something that, we need to be able to and comfortable to talk with our people about. It also has extended definitions of testor, settlor, executor, trustee, successor trustee, beneficiaries. And this is nice because you can click on the index, the table of contents, and it will take you straight into that part where it talks about what is a beneficiary. And it says this concludes part 1 of the workshop. And I'm going, I don't know what that is, but anyway, excuse me, I've not been through that. Come on, back up, Gregory. Hold on, there we go. All right, I was in marketing, I was in training manual. So it covers everything from get to go, from the beginning of the trust all the way down. And this sucker is, I don't know, it's about 80 pages, something like that. Come on down. Do it a little quicker. It goes down to DeedWorks, and it talks about DeedWorks recording fees. So it talks about the state recording fees that you have when you record the deeds, and how to process and handle the components of DeedWorks. Okay, back out of there again. Well, that's a good resource that we need to remember that we have. Now, when we do a workshop, some of the things that we hand out, one is do I need a will or a trust? And that's sort of a question and answer situation for them. It's a real simple test, and they can answer the questions, and based on their score, and I'm sorry, I'm bad about jagging back and forth. So they take the questions, they answer it, they generate a score, and based on that score as to whether they need a will or a trust. So it's a two-sided situation. Questionnaire. You can use this as a flyer. We use it as a handout in our workshops. And if you're doing a workshop, or if you're doing a small group, it may not be a formal workshop. You may be a group at church. You get a couple of people together, and sometime it comes up in the Bible study, and you say, okay, let's talk about it next week. Let's talk about it next week so you can prepare. But the questions aren't hard. Do you own or rent? Do you have children? Valuables? Do you own properties in multiple states? And that, excuse me, the one that throws people a curve is, do you like privacy? Because we talked to them about, a will is a public document. Once it's processed in the court, it becomes a public document. And if you look in a newspaper, if you look next to the obituaries, you'll find a listing of things and estates that are in probate. Well, this tells them who's died. Did they have anything in a will? When's the funeral? Wow, they've got a probated will. So, and the funeral is next week, and they're not going to be there. So, that's something that people can go off of. So if they like their privacy, a trust is a good thing. The other one is the incapacitation. Do I have my spouse taken care of? Do I have a financial power of attorney? Do I have a healthcare power of attorney? So, that things that they need to look at. I'm going to wind up with way too much. Yeah. Okay. So that's that quiz. Another one we have is we let them have, this one is nice because it's, for what do I really need? And I've heard that question so many times. What do I really need? Well, this flyer, which we put on the backside, we usually do 2 sheets of paper, which is 4 pages, and we'll use the questionnaire. We'll do the 4 lives must have. And this is a PDF file, so you can edit it, which is nice. But it talks about what we need. The government plan, your plan, it's a revocable living trust, a will or no will. But what I do is I put my contact information down here, so that when I hand it out to somebody in a workshop, then they've got a reminder about how to get in touch with me. So if they don't initially say, I want another appointment with you, then they've got a way that when they think about it, or as Randy says, when they get around to it, they can get in touch with me. But I also track who shows up, who signs up, so I can do that follow through with them. It takes a while. I did in June, I did a workshop, very successful workshops, excuse me. I did 4 in 2 days, and I had 142 people, I think it was 140 plus register through Jeff Mills. I had 84 people show up to the 4 workshops. So about, a little over 20 people per workshop. And I had about 24 people ask for another interview. So about, out of the people that showed up, about a fourth of them said, we want to talk. Of course, they went to the top of the list because they registered, they attended, and they asked for another workshop, another opportunity to talk. So they're priority because they are real solid prospects. And then the next group are the people that registered, the people that showed up, but the people who didn't necessarily ask for an interview. Okay. And then there's the people that registered but didn't show up. So, I've got 3 groups I'm working with. And I'm trying to get through them in a rapid manner so that they don't grow cold. And the question is, how do you fan the embers? If if you use the analogy of building a fire, you need fuel, heat, and oxygen. So you got to fan the embers sometime to get them to reignite. So how do you follow up? How do you follow through? And you keep these people from becoming cold contacts? That's dependent upon your style. I like to make phone calls. I like to send text and emails. And then I will also send out an invitation to those people who expressed an interest in the topic, but not enough interest to show up, and give them opportunity to show up to another workshop. Or I may even attempt a video workshop, invite them to a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting to present the workshop PowerPoint to them, or to do something like this and just talk about what's out there for them, but to give them that other opportunity. Some of them will say, yes, I want to do it. Some of them will say, eh. So, but it's here again, it's that follow-up situation. There's flyer here that talks about the benefit of the platform that we use, the decision tree making platform, as far as giving the people the opportunity to fill out do-it-yourself trust documents. So some people are going to say, yeah, I want to do that, but I don't want you to mess with me. I just want to do it myself. So you can send them a free trial. They can fill out the paperwork and they can buy it. But you need to follow up with those people, to follow through with them, to find out if they have questions, if they have concerns, or if they need help. So, but this talks about the platform that we have. It's another resource, another tool that we have to be able to use. And that's under marketing. And then taking control of your legacy. And then this booklet is nice because it's a 24-page booklet that that gives them a lot of information for filling things out. And wow, good Lord, I'm not going to get through this unless I start talking like an auctioneer, which you all don't want to hear me do that. But this is a good resource. I want to get into some particulars, some of the forms. I talked about it. If you do a face-to-face, you need a credit card form. And this is already done. If you can modify this, you can put your letterhead logo on it, but it's real important. You put your name in here, the purchase price, the date that they purchase it. Now, sometimes if it's a late afternoon, and if it's a Friday afternoon, the date they purchase it is not the date the card gets run. But what I like to do, because it is a $2,000 transaction, is I like to call the people and say, okay, I've not run your card yet, or hey, if it's for the late, it may be a couple of days before I run this, but I call them when I run it or right after I run it and say, hey, I have run your card. You're going to see a charge for this amount show up on it. It's me. I did that. And here again, fill out the form. And I will take 2 of these with me to a meeting, because there's the trust price. And then if I'm doing the quit claim deed for them, I put the price of the quit claim, the attorney fees, the filing fees, and the administrative overhead costs. I put that in here and have them do another one, and I title it quit claim deed, so that I know what it is, so that they know what it is. So I've been authorized not only to do the 1995, but I've also been authorized to do another purchase price for the quit claim deed, and they've signed it and dated it. Now this one, This one I don't usually run until I get ready to do the quitclaim. When I've got enough of the information into the trust to be able to give the attorney the trust name and the trustees and the address of the property. So, that's part of what I do there. Back to the client signing guide is I don't use it that much. It's basically who, what, when, how many people do I need to use to do this? And a single guarantor plan and a dual guarantor plan. How many, what has to be signed, what has to be witnessed, and what had to be notarized. So this is a good index for you to remember when I'm closing the trust, when I'm delivering it. I need to make sure that I've got, in most cases, 2 witnesses available. But then each section of the trust that comes out, the revocable living trust, the last will and testament, all these things, it tells you the pages that need to be signed or initialed, and how many of them need to be notarized, and how many of them need to be witnessed. So it's not a fast process delivering the trust, particularly if we do it in a Godiva style, which basically I need to close some of these resources. Are going to get too intense for my poor little computer. Okay, so that's the forms. That's the authorization form. This is one we talk about using the confidentials, the 5 pages of the confidential to gather information. That gives you a lot of resource information about the people and the their health. It has their health questions on it, their addresses, who they want as beneficiaries, and then what they've got as far as investments and savings, properties, and all like that. This offline interview is 20 pages. It's done up as a single guarantor, single parent family, or an intact family. It's 20 pages long, but I'll go into the dual. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I just glanced up at my time. I want to make sure I don't run over too much unless you all want me to. Come on, all the way. All right. This looks a lot like the trust document when you print it out. But it goes through everything you need. It is basically the software on paper. Your client information and the second spouse. Now, I make the client number 1 is the person who owns the card that I'm running. Okay, so there's continuity when everything shows up. If it's George and Melissa and the card is in George's name, George is number 1. The other thing with whoever the client number 1 is when we name the trust, it will be, if it's Mary's card, it will be the Mary B. and George L. whomever family trust. The date is the date that they purchase it and that we start the process of filling it out. This walks you through every question that you need. From a beneficiary shares, everybody going to is it going to be divided up based on the number of beneficiaries, or am I going to decide that Jimmy and his family get 25%, whereas Mary and her family get 40%? Now, the thing you got to remember is when you start adding those percentages up, it has to equal 100, or you'll get a red flag when you do a review. So this is a handy piece to have. The confidential is great, but sometimes, particularly if their family tree looks like kudzu, which is a invasive vine that was brought over from Japan, but it makes good cow feed. It helps you organize your thoughts. It helps. I've actually had people ask for this. I've got an appointment Monday, and they don't deal with the computer screen that well, and they said, "Can you give us a paper form?" Well, I sent them this form so that they can sit down and they can fill it out in paper. And, it asks for, the kids' names. Are they disabled? Same questions that are in the software, but it helps you remember it. It goes through everything. And the nice thing too is when you get down towards the bottom of it, and it's talking about, do you have an adult child, adult disabled, or do you have a minor? And the guardians, excuse me. Wow. So you're setting up the guardians, and some people need time to think about this. They don't have anybody on the top of their mind that they want to do, or they want to talk about, they want to have pillow talk like Randy talks about, if something happened to both of us, do they go to your parents, or they go to my parents, or do they go to my sibling or your sibling to be taken care of? Or is there somebody else that we want to take care of them? And here again, a primary and a secondary or alternate guardian for either the minor children or the adult disabled. I've got a couple special needs trusts that I'm working on too right now. So I'm proceeding slowly with that because we want to make sure that we take care of that adult child, because they already know that the child is going to survive them, but they want to make sure that that child is taken care of. Bequests, that's a hard word to say sometimes. And then it also in that document has final thoughts. What I want them to do with me? How do I want to be buried? I've jokingly said, yeah, put me in a mason jar and drop me down a post hole out in the backyard and I'll be okay. That might be my last burial instructions. I want to be cremated, and I want you to sprinkle my ashes over some mountaintop. Or if any of you watch Bucket List, the guy wanted to be put in a coffee can chock full of nuts and put on top of Mount Everest. In fact, they both did. Then your assets and liability sheet to fill out. What are my personal properties? What are the assets I have? Cars, boats, checking account, money, CDs, those kind of. You can list those. And these are things that are in the funding package in the trust. But this document lets them organize their thoughts. So it's not bad to say, give you a sheet to work with on what are your assets, what are those personal properties that you want to, fudge nuts. I got logged out. I talk too much. No, I don't. Come on, there you go. So those are forms, and that was the interview form. Frequently asked questions. The client end user agreement. I will make a copy. I will print that out, and then I will print out page 1 and the last page. And it's 8 or something like that, so that I can give them a full copy that they can sign that, basically says they received it. But I've got that front page, back page that they can sign that I keep in the folder that says I gave it to them and they signed it. Here again, that's a key CYA, control your assets situation. Those are the forms that we have, and they're tremendously handy for what you've got. Okay, I've taken a long time to go through this. This is where, you're into it, you're into your thing. You want to change the account where your where your monies are paid to. You want to manage your subscription. If you watch it, if you put it on a credit card, check the date on the card you used, because if the card runs out before your next renewal, they will run your card to renew your subscription to the software, and it'll kick out as not covered, and then it'll get suspended. It's not a big thing, but it's just something to think about with our business, and this is our business, to keep track of. So if you get an updated card, update your subscription management system, add the card to it with the new date and or account number. If you want to change your password, you can. You want to change your username, you can. If you're single and you get married and your name goes from Davis to Slendowski, you can change your name to Slendowski. You can change your email address and all like that. You can update your picture. I've got the same picture I use on my Facebook, on my, that's my web photo. And you can update your contact information, which will be your phone number, your email address, and your physical location. Okay, so then we get into videos and frequently asked questions. And you all take a look at that. Wow, I didn't think I would talk this long, but I have. And I hope it's been beneficial. Let me stop sharing this, because I want to know if there's any questions out there. Hey, some people actually stayed with me. Thank you. We are going to record this. Lisa records it. And if you want a copy of it, just sort of a reminder, because I did walk through the software step by step, then we'll do it. We'll get it to you. I like to know who attended. I see some people that are new, that are old, that have questions. And hey, I appreciate your questions, because it makes me think. It makes me stay on top of what's out there. And, sometimes two different questions are answered with the same answer, but they approach it from a slightly different angle. I mean, that's what makes a diamond so valuable, is the cuts. When they cut a diamond, the angles, the variations, it gives us brilliance, the way it collects light, and the way it shines it back. So, I think Zig Ziglar made the comment, we are all diamonds in the rough. We are to be polished and properly positioned to be brilliant. And you guys are great. I appreciate it. This is sort of, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, Greg Unplugged. But it is something that's been on my mind, helping you guys to realize a couple things: the resources we have in the software, but also the need we have to take care of ourselves, to make sure that we are mentally and physically on top of our game, and that we access our resources the way we need to. So I wish you all the best. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I really do. But it's 3:00 Friday afternoon here in Tennessee. It's not really overcast, but it ain't really bright either. And I've got a weekend ahead of me. I've got some things I've got to get done. After all the rain we've had, I need to attend to my yard, because it's about knee high on a jackalope. It needs to be mowed. And you all take care. You all be
Great.
safe. Be blessed. Did we have? Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay to get the recording out by Monday?
Okay. Well, thank you.
I'll have the
Uh,
recording out by Monday and the list of attendees to you
Okay,
this afternoon.
I'm gonna ask Lisa, what did you think about today?
I thought it was really nice, Greg. I thought
Okay.
it was very informative, very interesting.
Everybody else feel pretty good about it?
There are no questions in the chat.
No checks. Okay. Um, those of you who are signed up under me, and I think, okay, all of you are. Hi, guys. Would you like to do this on a regular and routine basis? Maybe not exactly this, but a Q&A kind of time that we could all get together. There are about 17, 18 of us. Get together on Zoom, spend 30 minutes or so asking questions and sharing our experiences. Would that be beneficial to you? That's my question. Think about it. Send me an email that says yes or no, or, questions, ideas. I'm here to help you be successful. That's part of my goal. That's part of my responsibility with asset positioning services and family estate docs, is to provide your training and your education and to answer your questions. But I appreciate it greatly. And I look forward to speaking with you, seeing you, that live long and prosper.